We're doing the funeral on Saturday. I've got to get some memorial prayer cards. If that could be your ride, I'd love for you and him to be involved, but don't share the address with anybody. We'll be doing stuff from 9 a.m. and then the funeral's at noon. If something is leaked out, I know I'm going to be able to find who it was. If you want to come early, you want to come at 10, that's fine.
I really think we need to get a list together of those that should be there.
Okay.
It's important for them to be there because they were a part of your grandfather's life, and we need to keep those that weren't a part of his life, have very little to do with his life, out.
It's hard to be able to have my mind spread across 15 different places. Man, there's just hundreds of people who just want to say great job for not stopping, even though times were tough.
You just don't want it turning into a circus here at the end.
I don't think it has been a circus. It's just
It's always been about close-knit, so you need to keep it close-knit.
Okay.
Hey, Jason.
Les?
Nice to meet you finally after all our conversations.
I know, we had some long ones.
This must be Audrey.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
It's my wife, Audrey.
Nice to meet you.
We initially talked that there wasn't been any viewing of the remains. As we got into it, just like with many families, Jason was saying, well, I think I'd like a little bit more. Maybe I would like to see my grandpa.
When we picked Grandpa up, we were very surprised with the condition of his remains. We all knew that it had been several months since he passed away. But unfortunately, instead of placing him in their freezing section, he was placed in a refrigerator. And so his appearance is denigrated more than we would have preferred.
When the funeral director presented to me, he was beside himself at how they left him at his time of death. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, just imagine a fruit put in the fridge for 4 to 6 months. And I thought in my head, oh.
From what I understand, you never actually got to really meet Grandpa.
I haven't got to meet him, and I thought today would be that day to see my grandfather.
Well, I'm a little bit concerned. This is something I know you've been looking forward to. I haven't had a chance to really prepare him for what we call a viewing. He's here. He's had some basic work. I have concluded the embalming, but appearance-wise, I think I could really make him look more like himself if I could have the rest of the morning to go ahead and prepare him for a viewing. Mm-hmm. You can see him right now if you'd wish, but I'm going to tell you that it may be a little difficult right now, and I just want to be sensitive to how you're going to be remembering things. So I'm going to let you tell me.
That's the mental image that I've seen a few friends and a great grandmother, and they were preserved properly. Okay. And what you're telling me is to view this would be an image that'll be in my head for the rest of my life. And
even tomorrow, it's still going to be a little rough because I can only do so much repair. I'm just going to step aside, and you guys can do what you need to do right now.
Thank you.
He remembers being at his dad's funeral. I think that whatever he decides to do, he should be able to do.
If you think you just want to spend a few moments and see him tomorrow when I've had a chance, we can do that too.
Thank you. Under that and over that. Sometimes I just don't understand why everything's got to be so hard.
Now it's just doing the right thing and taking care of his final wishes.
And we're going to do that. I'm happy, very happy. I always wanted to say, I love you, old man. I know we got to say it a couple times on the phone. I just didn't say it enough. I wish I could have been there. I tried. And when this all came about, I'm a fighter, I'm a frontline warrior, and I knew I wasn't going to let up, I wasn't going to let go. Through our relationship, I wasn't going to let go of our relationship, and I'm not going to let go of you now. I got you. Got you covered. Got your back. I think I'm ready.
I remember the night when Charlie passed away, and it was on the news. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking, man, what's going to happen when they're going to do a service? And little did I know that a few months later, that call would come to me. And I did have to take a moment to pause. And I thought, wow, is this something I should do? But then I would rather be a person who's there to be an encourager to those who are living.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that this is something that fulfills your wishes. I read about you, and you said, I came to that point where I had to basically say, Grandpa, I forgive you. And I said, I don't know if you ever said that to him on the phone, but I know you talked about the importance of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And we all need to hear that, because that's the gift that God gives to us that we can give to others. So, that's so important. And then you also said, that your desire is to truly have a moment of bringing my respect to this person who I never had a chance to meet face to face. And so this is what's been going through my mind, and I'm just sharing these things with you.
Yeah.
And you can tell me whether you like it or not. I always believe that no matter how bad a person is, there is truly someone who loves them. I need to support Jason. You've been the one over the last several months especially reaching out because of your love for your grandpa to do something that others wanted to do, maybe for different reasons, but I think you wanted to do it for the sense of authentic love that you had for this man who you never met, but you wish you would have had time to create and develop a relationship. And so I see in that, you guys are just an illustration of God's hand of love in motion. And so my thoughts are, I'd like to be able to verbalize that on your behalf for all those who are gathered together. Does that feel good to you? Does it seem to fit into what you desire?
Exactly.
Okay.
And, yeah.
You got the confident assurance that that's what I'll do for you. And as I normally do a service, I talk about surviving family members, and to focus really, I would think it's mainly just the 5 of you, right? You two and your 3 boys?
Yeah.
And to acknowledge that in this service, that you are the surviving family members?
The other people you're inviting, what's their relationship? They're just your close acquaintances, kind of your support group?
It's been mainly his grandpa's support group.
Okay.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to have one police officer or one guard on duty.
We all were committed to keep it as confidential as possible. And Jason had shared specifically, I don't want this to become a circus.
Something that I've accomplished off of all this, I call it the full circle.
Okay.
When you give, you receive, you give and receive. And the full circle is by me and my generation in making a stand to turn and run from my old ways of living in the world. I look at my grandfather not having that opportunity to have mentors that were going to help him grow and help him learn, help him understand life. Then we look at my father, Charles Manson Jr., regardless of how hard he tried, there isn't no living that name down.
Right.
He didn't have a male figure to be there to help and guide him, lead and guide him. So that's why we go to church, we attend Bible studies, our kids are involved, and they love it. These are things that we want to instill and impact their lives with the glory of God, that's full circle, man. That comes around full circle.
We've had to learn out of the 15 years we've been together, within the last 4 months, it's really...
Yeah. It's really knocked the socks off of both of us. Didn't really realize the impact of what this was going to be by us making a stand.
If the message that I present as we bring a conclusion to the service tomorrow is talking about full circle and talk about the fact that ultimately as we gather together for this, that you're breaking, in a sense, what it talks about in the scripture of being the curse and creating a new beginning from this point on.
Yeah.
Does that hit about what you'd like to hear?
Exactly what our life consists of. I was overwhelmed with all the plans that I've been discussing with the funeral home, with my wife. I knew there was a lot of work ahead of me.
What we had discussed last night was having a viewing from like 9 to 11, and all that wanted to come in and pay their respects to him, and then during the service to have the casket closed.
There were some comments made back when we used to talk to Charlie on the phone. He made a comment one day that he doesn't want to be burned up and sold on eBay. If he would have been left to the prison, they would have just discarded the remains in the trash.
I really don't want anything too fancy or loud.
Jason wanted to just make sure that his wishes were carried out. Anybody whose grandparent passes away deserves the same respect.
I really like the thought of having my grandfather's fingerprint, and the other part of our group feels the same way. I want a couple done for myself, and they will also make an order.
Okay, the way this is, you don't have to make...
Jason needs to, I wish he would be more guarded when it comes to these people. From what I've sat back and watched, the followers, the close friends, there's some real not right. So I have to trust that he's going to make the right decision, and that keeping these people involved for some reason is going to help him. It's not helping me. It's not helping our family. But if it gives him some sort of peace and I don't really know. But I feel like I have to support him. But then I just feel like that they need to stay away.
I've got a heart that's probably bigger than my body, and it's hard for me to just shove people away.
I don't want to move the sheet. Wherever Manson was, there was a lot of noise and chains and bars and banging and clanging, yelling and screaming. It was the first time. It was just dead silence. And I just saw him at peace. No chains, no shackles, free. So it was a relief for me anyway.
So, everybody's here. Everybody that was close to your grandpa. I mean, this is probably the first and last time that everybody's going to be together.
Les has been great. He has been. He brought up questions that I didn't even know to ask.
No.
He
really has gone above and beyond.
I feel at peace now. I feel at peace more today than I did this morning or last night.
We've done months of planning in about 5 to 6 hours.
Audrey, I'm so proud that you're here with me. You have a different presence that helps me feel more at ease. You've got my back.
We have a vision, you have a goal, and it's what we have set out to do. So.
Man, woman, mom and dad, school, prison. There was all of that. In the end of time, when Jesus comes, And when Jesus comes, Jesus is everything.
Amen.
Nobody wants Jesus. Because if Jesus comes, you got to give up yourself.
Yeah, you gotta give up your world. You gotta give up yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of your way. I'll let you guys have your time.
Thank you. I'm shocked at how good he looks. So glad I did this. Old soldier, I knew that there'd be a time where we got to be face to face. I just didn't realize I was going to be at your death. I just want you to know that I really tried, and I know you tried to keep me safe and keep my family safe. I know why you did what you did. I know why you kept me away. You always kept me at a distance. I know we talked about my father. Society did that to him. That's who I blame. I don't blame you. You had nothing to do with the death of my father, and I just wanted to say that in person. So I can't ever say I forgive you because it's not your fault. I know you tried to be there. I know you wanted to be there for your son. Even our conversations talking about Grandma Rosie.
I just talked to Charlie, you know, a couple times on the phone.
Yeah.
And we, and the relationship you and him had was evolved into a great grandfather-grandson relationship. And I'm just very thankful that he and you had that time.
Thank you for being there for me.
Absolutely.
Seeing my grandfather for the first time, it was like a surreal moment. And you look at him and you see the makeup and the job that they did. You're just waiting for them to wake back up.
Good job, honey. You're not gonna please everybody. That's not what today's about.
I just feel like I'm shaking.
That's a lot.
I just never thought in a million years, Audrey, that I would have that chance to bury my grandfather.
Everything will always work out. You're doing the right thing.
I thought today was going to be a smooth day.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be. This was probably the last thing we had to get through.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I love you.
Love you too. Okay.
love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me in your life, man. I learned so much from you. I love you. You're a warrior. It's hard to believe he's been on the fucking ground for 4 months, huh? Look that fucking good.
I know. Look that good?
Who the fucking who else could do that?
You look good. Could you do me a favor and see how it's going out there?
I will in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
From here on, this is yours. You're gonna protect and fight and do whatever, because we're not here fucking everybody. So I'm not gonna let any of this go on. This is a funeral, not a circus.
Everything you've done.
JJ cried more than I think I've ever seen a grown man cry in my life. I mean, he was to the point where he was like, and I'm like, this is, and a lot of us were like, what the hell is going on? It was not normal, typical funeral behavior, whatever that would be, which granted, this was not the normal funeral. But my God, I mean, the production this guy put on was just over the top. He was just too much.
Today has always believed in my grandfather. Some of you guys, before I knew my grandfather, you were there for my grandfather. Past 2 years has been a difficult time in my life, but I chose to stand and be there. This will be our last chance to see a wonderful man. I want to thank everybody for taking their time and coming to pay their respects. And I'm thankful I had the opportunity to be a part of that and understand my grandfather a lot easier.
His soul is not there. Charles Manson is not there. It's just a shell. In the spirit world, his soul went somewhere, up, down. He's not in that body anymore.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good.
Grey Wolf asked me if I mind if he put a rebel flag on my grandfather's casket. Who am I to ask an elder not to do it?
Even though I personally didn't agree with that flag, for my own reasons, I know Charlie took great pride in being from the hills of Kentucky.
I was indifferent. I mean, I've had to understand that's the time that they lived. You know, there was a different time. As Charlie got older, he was kind of stuck in that time.
Men in the South stood up for independence of choice, independence of being. It's a representation of someone standing up for liberty. That's why I put it on there.
Today we've gathered together to say our final goodbyes and respect for Charles Millis Manson. As we gather, this is a time of significance. It's a time of reflection. It's a time to remember. But also it's a time to seek where do we go from here. But I'll just remind you a little bit of his life. It was at the General Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, on Sunday, November 11th, 1934, that Charles Maddox entered into this world. In what was an unhealthy environment at that time, he was born to a 16-year-old girl who was not quite yet prepared for motherhood. The challenging part for Charlie is that this unhealthy environment that he was a part of for his early years followed him for the rest of his life, and it was a challenge. There are choices that we make, and I am reminded that every choice we make, there's a positive result or there's a negative consequence. And there were many choices that were thrusted on him as a child and his early youth that were very difficult and caused, I think, great pain in his life, but there were also choices that he made as well. And it created an attitude and actions that would impact himself and, of course, influence many others.
He was talking about all the mistakes Manson made. You know, Manson, you know, the reason why Manson went down that road. You know, we just wasn't the time or the place for that.
So I spontaneously in my mind was picturing, wow, this played right into the Charlie mythos, because this fucking rock and roll, heavy metal, wrestling Billy Graham, what am I doing here, motherfucker, is about to get up and fucking choke the life out of fucking Pastor Mark with both of these fucking hands right on top of Charlie's casket. That's how fucking offended I was. Yeah, so I was boiling.
It took everything in me not to get up and embarrass the hell out of that guy. And I was shaken. I just couldn't believe he was going there.
The pastor was very funeral-like. I mean, it all stayed pretty. It didn't get too personal, which, I mean, how it couldn't really. I appreciated the pastor.
Even in death, for Charlie, rest and peace were not to be found until today. I don't think there's many people that go through that situation that they die November 19th, but then they would not have their service until 4 months later. Seems like all of those things have brought a sense of tension and difficulty, but you've stood the test. You've allowed yourself to be here as a witness and a loving grandson, and I appreciate that. And so I want to affirm this today, especially Charles Manson is survived by his grandson, Jason Freeman, his wife, Audrey, his great-grandson, Samuel, 17, Maximus, age 12, AJ, age 6, and Riley. And today, and I have been so touched and impressed by those friends who have known him over these last several years, who have come today, and with a great sense of grief and sadness have taken the time to say goodbye. That is what we should have for each and every person. My focus was on speaking to an individual, and I wasn't speaking about Charlie at that point, I was speaking to Jason. There may be a person or two here today who would want to take a moment to share a word of your interaction with Charlie that we know would bring an encouragement to the family. So I just want to give you a moment to see if anyone would like to do that. Yeah, come on in, Craig.
I'd like to facilitate a bit of focus on some things that Charlie brought my attention to and the world's attention to while he was here with us in a brilliant lifetime that we've all been affected by. And the first thing is, we can all do it together right now by breathing in and breathing out. We do it all the time.
When Grey Wolf got up to speak, I held my breath. Grey Wolf, I have nothing but the utmost respect for that man.
There's another part of the web that speaks to us in the same survival mode, that focus is important right now as trees, sustains the air that we breathe moment to moment. And then the animals that tend the garden, that support us all, and the entire web of life, day to day. And that's what this man stood for.
Right on, bro.
When Grey Wolf finished, I kind of looked over my shoulder this way, expecting that one of those other 5 people left was going to get up. And then no, instead, I not only see no one moving, but then I see Pastor Mark basically starting to make his strides toward the front, like, okay, wrap it up. Half my body I was trying to still sit down, and the other half was being pulled to the thing.
I was asked to get up and speak, but I just couldn't. When Billy stood up and said, I'll speak, it was kind of relief. I was so furious at what that preacher was saying. I was afraid that I would basically say something I was going to regret.
If anybody can walk away from here in true honor today, it's the spirit of truth that comes with that consciousness. And I just ask you, please, if you only ever remember one thing from me, it's not about me, but please, we've got to get the truth out there about what really led to the sacrifice that this person made on account of the actions of other people. And a society that would let a human being be turned into the devil incarnate. Because this is not the devil, and it never was. One other thing I will say, you know, that these snakes we talked about earlier and these negative feelings and realities that people create, that's them. okay? And I just want to thank every single one of you because of all the accusations and falsehoods cast at this brother right here. I didn't see anybody trying to sensationalize anything. I saw nothing but true spirits and true hearts coming here to honor someone for the right reason.
I knew Billy was so thankful for having the opportunity to come to Charles Manson's funeral. And then to say a few words, it didn't matter to me.
A lot of people were able to put things that mattered to them in the casket with Charlie. There was an eagle feather on his chest. There were necklaces, there were flags, there were rings, there was an iron cross. It was perfect.
I can walk in front and give him an opportunity. He can carry.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And the rest of you are welcome to follow.
I want to give them the opportunity. I want to walk with them. Yes, ma'am. Hey. Okay. This is our moment. It isn't just my moment. It isn't just Derek's moment. Mike, George, Delana, JJ, Billy.
We're here, brother.
Stand here with you guys.
Oh, wait on. It's going to be probably 3.5 hours now. So you're welcome to stay. Anything you want to do, if you want to stay right here, or just, I know you've got some other things going on here, so I'm going to leave you guys to do what you want.
Thank you, Les.
As this procedure was going, my grandmother Rosalie crossed my mind, my mother, my father Charles Manson Jr. When we pushed him into the fire as a group, it was like a pressure release valve that just lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Mom, we came down a long road.
Has he been cremated?
He's in the cremation center right now. He went in at 1 o'clock. We did a good job.
I was so glad it was just like a private thing. I told my son, I said, Jason, just keep a low profile and it's nobody's business.
What are you doing with his ass?
We're gonna scatter them tonight, somewhere here outside of town.
Yeah, we got the location figured out. It'll be at a stream in the woods.
What it would have taken to put him in the ground, an unmarked grave, it would have been just complete chaos, and it probably would have been defaced, and it would have just been, I'm sure, a complete spectacle. So this was the best decision that we felt we could have
I think
made.
these are buckeyes. I think that's a buckeye tree.
It is.
Buckeyes?
Really? California buckeye tree.
Because we have...
My grandfather was Otwa, and if we're brought to life from the ground, that's just where I put him back.
You'll never find him up here.
Only in spirit.
Yeah, right.
This is so the best ever. You couldn't have picked a better place.
I know we didn't want the location of the ashes being distributed because I didn't want it to become a tourist attraction. I didn't want people to come in and start to pull up dirt and sell them and say they're ashes. You know, it was a secret place that I hope it isn't ever revealed. We all promised to keep that secret and keep it amongst ourselves, and that's what we're going to do.
Are those seeds?
No, they're ashes in a biodegradable, setup. So the ashes are in here. I want you ladies to all send one down the river. There we go. Hey! No, you want that. We all can walk back, and then while I'm walking, I'm gonna spread some ashes around the rock lines and the tree lines and stuff, and of course it's all gonna run down into the river one day from the water.
I definitely didn't want to open the ashes up to be an opportunity for someone to steal them or do whatever they wanted to with them, but I felt in my heart that other people would love to spread my grandfather's ashes.
It had gotten really cold after the sun went down, so I had gone back to the vehicle as everybody else was kind of doing their thing, making their way back. And as every person proceeds to come out with ashes on their face, they literally spread ashes on their faces. I was just like, this is just insanity.
I got caught up in the moment and it didn't cross my mind that people were going to be shoving ashes in their pocket. I didn't think that was going to happen.
To me, I thought, this is a moment that people know to act right, but obviously after seeing that, it just appalls me that people think this is okay.
They want part of my grandfather. They want their portion. And that's what I just heard that repetitively over and over and over again.
With Jason caring about people as much as he does, he wanted to try and keep everybody in the loop and keep everybody happy and keep all of this going and juggle, juggle, juggle.
I've got George, I've got Derek, I've got Sandy, I've got gray wolf, black wolf, green wolf, purple fucking wolf, the whole damn wolf pack, everybody wanting ashes from me. So there was so much pressure, I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know which way to go.
They got into his head. They got into his thoughts and they kind of took his goal and tried to make it their own. So it was, what can we use Jason to do? We're going to use him now to try and accomplish what we want to do.
You had a prepaid call from an inmate at the California State Prison, Corcoran, California.
The end of time, when you realize who God is, and you realize what you're doing, you realize that all the time that all these people have been pulling you and pushing you and pointing you in the wrong direction for themselves, you got to start looking out for yourself. If you're not looking out for yourself, there is nobody else. So who's yourself? You know who yourself is.
Yeah,
you understand it?
Yeah, I get it.
All right.
I get it.
Be cool. Give my regards.
I will,
I'm
bro.
still with you. I'm always with you forever.
I know you're in my heart.
You realize? You know that, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm fortunate to have you. That's it.
I'm so sick of everybody pulling from me. I kept some ashes back for myself because I wanted to have part of my grandfather to put where I wanted to put him. I wanted to put him on the mantle. And I can't even sleep at night doing that. I can't feel that I don't feel that I can do that because there's so many people and there's so much pressure, there's so much shit just revolving around me. So I'm going home. I'm gonna go out on a boat about 6 miles out, and we're going fishing. And I'm gonna dump the rest of the ashes out there, and that'll be my spot where I fish at and I speak to my grandfather. I'll be right there.
People are gonna do what they do, man. You know, Charlie had vampires and parasites hanging off him his whole life, and to think that that would stop when he left was a fool's thought.
So I know we got a lot of stuff coming up, and I always talk about getting our ducks in a row before this next step with the estate. I think it's a big deal, and haven't really thought about it, and it just seems overwhelming like everything else.
I don't have as big a heart for people that my husband does. I don't agree with a lot of what Charlie's done. I don't agree with the people that are around, and I don't have the patience to try and really understand, but I have to support Jason.
Like, by me being as giving and as open as I am I setting myself up for destruction? Like, through...
Yeah, they're never gonna, because I feel like at the funeral, they made demands. They wanted this, they wanted that. With everything going on, what do they get? They're gonna be like this.
Oh, I feel the pull right now.
Here.
I know the pull there. I've got people asking for stuff, and you know, what else was there at the funeral?
With quite a few people I see on the inner circle, their intentions surfaced even more now that he's passed away. Everybody's got a view of how things were played out, but what's real? Once I got home from the funeral, something that Diane Lake said to me really hit home and sunk in.
He doesn't define you, as he didn't define me, and my relationship with him doesn't have to define me. I'm sorry that you've had to live with, you know, as I have, that Charles Manson has become the icon of evil. I know it's difficult. It's very difficult. Different. I feel like a whole person now, that I don't have that secret that had a black cloud over it, you know, and that it was embarrassed to
speak about it.
Yeah. I mean, you are not him, you know?
Yeah. She put Charles's name down and never went back to it. And I think of my grandmother, Rosie. She did the same thing, but man, she was dragging a child with her that carried the same name. It was almost like my grandmother, was telling me, you're better than that. You're not him. You're not your father. You're you. You know, God's got plans for you, for your loved ones. Rise up and go.
Come here, sit with me for a minute.
I can't continue to associate myself with the Manson friends, the Manson, groupies and stuff, because it's just going to keep me in bondage to that name, and that's all I'm going to be known for. I don't want to wear that on my shoulders for the rest of my life or pass that down to my kids.
Turn around, let's see.
No.
With family bloodlines, although they continue forever, I felt like that chain stopped at Jason. Whatever had been going on through those years and the evil and the negativity and that wasn't going to continue in our family.
I've got my own path. I've got my own walk in life with my family. My identity is not Charles Manson. The conversation that really stands out to me, out of the many that I have, it's only a couple words that really touched my heart. It was when he told me that he loved me. For him to express that feeling over to me was memorable.
How do you like Florida?
Florida's not bad. It's a big difference than where I'm from. I'll tell you that.
The weather sure is beautiful, isn't it?
Oh man, the ocean. If I could take you to go see the ocean and go fish with me, I would love to do that. That'd be great.
Yeah. I've been through all that. I found that all the happiness is in my mind. I can go anywhere I want, anytime I want, man. I got a pretty good perspective when it comes to the mental department.
Oh, I know you do.
I gotta roll, so.
You gotta go.
Good to hear your voice again.
You too.
In my regards
To my family.
peace. Love you, brother.
Love you too.